happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
How's everyone doing? Hopefully well. JJ and I have a short message that we'd like to say. As we remember Dr. Martin Luther King and his remarkable legacy as a civil rights leader, let us also remember his message of unity. Now, JJ, I know that you said you wanted to be the next Martin Luther King. Why is that?
To make the world a better place.
To make the world a better place. I love it. Here's to unity.
Here's to unity.
God bless. Stay well.
Dr. King is quoted as saying, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" And this has really been a guiding principle for me throughout my entire life, both personally and professionally. In both arenas, I have been inspired to seek out opportunities to be of service and to help others. And sometimes that looks like working with a nonprofit organization. Sometimes that looks like working with somebody one-on-one to find a solution to a problem. And sometimes it's just seeking out a way to be of service or to positively impact my community as a whole. Dr. King also spoke at length about strengthening our communities and creating a space of mutual respect and understanding between all people. And this is something that really has guided, informed, and influenced the work that I do every day.
If he had lived, Martin Luther King Jr. would be 93 years old on January 15th. I remember watching Dr. King and having him inspire me with his words, many of which still echo in my mind. I've never been one to judge people by the color of their skin, only their words, their actions, and their character. I find myself quoting him in my writings rather frequently because his message is the same one I'm trying to put out there. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Another quote I use extensively is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King left this earth on April 4th, 1968. I've read numerous books on his life and death, and I still wonder who or what group was responsible for his death. Meanwhile, his words live on and inspire people of all genders, colors, and faiths. Count me among them.
When I think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I think of what he accomplished with love and compassion in his heart, and that he truly changed the world with those tools, and how he's inspired legions and legions to do it along the way and all these years later. It's awe-inspiring, it's humbling, and it gives us hope for the future.
As I sit and reflect on Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, I think of these images that you see now. I think about my mother who, God rest her soul, worked hard to come from a rural Alabama town to become a professor at the University of UMass Boston and several other universities in and around the greater Boston area. It is through the fight and struggle of leaders like Martin Luther King that she was able to accomplish so many great things, such as becoming an educational doctor of history.
Happy to partner with Supply the Why as we honor today Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his vision and his work, which is still incomplete. And if you're like me, you may say, what do I have to contribute here against racism and prejudice and injustice? What can I do? I'm not the right person. Maybe we just have these conversations and be a good listener and learn and realize that these things are still happening in society and it causes a lot of people a lot of pain. And just by acknowledging we have a lot of work to do, that can be a great first step to honor the man who gave his life fighting against these terrible things.
As I reflect on Dr. Martin Luther King, it makes me think of something I'd like to read. There are endless stories of good works being accomplished by ordinary people who have become suddenly extraordinary, each somehow finding their kairos moment. A kairos moment is an ancient Greek phrase that means the right, critical, or most opportune moment, and one that can best be described as a moment for action or decision. It is a moment to do or say the right thing, a moment born of action that can significantly alter the future. Within one of my devotionals, I was reading a story about a kairos moment. It was pointing out that the difference between a significant moment and one that might wow us and a kairos moment lies simply in the call to action. It is one thing to recognize a significant moment, but it may not be a moment for change if it does not lead to action. It necessitates taking a risk and with it facing fear. So I ask you, what would you do differently if you weren't afraid?
The impact of Dr. King and his work on my life. First, I thought it was going to be pretty simple. But the more I thought about it, we generally think of Dr. King's work as something that happened in the past. But for me, once I got introduced to his principles and Kingian nonviolence, it really has kind of guided me through my career and where I am today and some of the work I'm doing. So it's not necessarily something that influenced me in the past. It's still with me today, and it's still a philosophy that I try to share with as many people as I can. So I'm going to steal this opportunity to share those 6 principles. Number 1, nonviolence is a way for brave people. Again, I can't say how much that resonates with me after going through my 31 years in policing, that the strongest people I saw weren't the ones that were the first to throw fists or throw batons or place people under arrest. The strongest ones were the ones that were willing to work with people to solve problems, to build relationships. Number 2, a peaceful community is the goal for the future. And that, again, every time we start to struggle with what should we do, if it kept that in mind, that was a driving force, a driving light to keep us headed in the right direction. This is perhaps the most important lesson I took that I carry with me today. Attack problems and not people. It sounds very simple, but it's easy to forget when we get mired in conflict. Number 4, know and do what is right even when it's difficult. Number 5, avoid hurting the spirit and body of yourself and others. And 6, last but not least, the universe is on the side of justice. It doesn't always feel that way, but if we can keep that in mind, that this is a journey, it's never ending, and over time, things do get better. And I think those principles will kind of be with me until I take my last breath. So thanks for the opportunity.
Dr. King has definitely had an impact on my life because of the way he lived his life and the words that he echoed. One of my favorite Dr. King quotes is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Through all times of my life when things have gotten difficult and the path is unclear and I feel like I want to quit, I think back to the words echoed by MLK. Every father knows there's going to come a time when we have to pass the torch to the next generation. I want the words of MLK to resonate in the minds of my children when things get tough.
Thank you, Dr. King, for being the gold standard.
Thank you, Dr. King, for being that gold.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out our video today. It's very special to be able to take part and contribute to Martin Luther King Day by sharing the thoughts of so many great people during this project. I just want to share a couple thoughts about personally what the great Dr. King has done for me. If it wasn't for his courage, if it wasn't for his teachings, I wouldn't have the career that I have, I wouldn't have the family that I have, and I wouldn't have the platform of Supply the Why to share my thought processes and bring people together. So please continue to follow us, like, and share this video if it moved you at all. And as always, hashtag Supply the Why. Enjoy your day.
History of our nation.